What's going on, sports fans? This is Jake Waxman.
And Tyler Lavalette.
Coming to you live from the studio with another Friday Roundtable. Sports fans, I just want to say it's good to be back after a 2-week hiatus. And with that 2-week hiatus behind us now, let's start with some more baseball talk. Go ahead, Tyler.
Absolutely. The Detroit Tigers really got themselves back into the top of the American League with the sweep of the Houston Astros these past 3 days, with the off day yesterday, and they play the Royals starting tonight. Now, before we go to the clip and talk about the Astros, I am joining this mustache in tribute to Detroit-born actor Tom Selleck, who is a Tigers fan, who famously wore a Tigers cap on the show Magnum P.I. when he was the lead character, Thomas Magnum. He would wear a Hawaiian shirt, Tigers cap, and sunglasses with his mustache. And since 2009, fans have dressed as Thomas Magnum on a specific day they title Magnum P.I. Day in tribute to Selleck. This Sunday's game, which Jake and I will be going to, is the 2025 installment of that unofficial celebration. With that being said, Tuesday night's game was quite the pitcher duel, with a 0-0 game, going into the 10th inning, both pitchers playing well, atmosphere that was like that in the postseason. So let's set this up. Gleyber is up to bat, bases are loaded, 0-0, 3-2 count. Let's see how the Tigers game ends. Roll the clip.
A 3-2 or to Torres. He missed the Tigers win. Patience is a virtue.
Bases loaded. Walk off walk. Yeah. This would have been, there are 3 funny outcomes that could have happened. And one of which, of course, is the walk. But there are 2 others. One could have been a wild pitch or a disengagement like that would result in a balk, which both would have scored a runner from third no matter what. Instead, it ends on a walk. But regardless, a win is a win. And like I said, the Tigers took 3 from the Astros in the sweep, took 5 of 6 from them, and have the tiebreaker should both teams end the regular season level with identical records.
And another one of those games where one is all it takes. Just one run in this case was all it took for the Tigers to score quite an impressive win. But nevertheless, as Tyler mentioned, Tigers doing really well, continuing to get things rolling again, just in time for the postseason. And speaking of baseball, okay, Chicago Cubs, not going to lie, they've made me nervous the last few days. They've not played their best. But in the series against Milwaukee, best of 5, Chicago ended up taking 3 of 5. Much needed, big 3 of 5 for the Cubs to kind of get themselves in a better position to make the playoffs. They're probably not going to win the NL Central. That's probably going to be won by Milwaukee through a combination of that ridiculously amazing run they went on, plus the Chicago Cubs having their struggles. But the odds now for the Cubs making the postseason are a little bit better, and I feel better about it. But, of course, there's still some things that the Cubs need to work on. And they play the Reds tonight.
Angels.
Angels. Why did I think the Reds? I got the wrong Red team. Angels. So they're playing the Los Angeles Angels in Anaheim tonight. Need a whole lot more offense than what we had in Milwaukee if we're going to continue to not only garner up enough wins to make the postseason, but even just do something in the postseason. A lot of work ahead for the Cubs. I mean, they're currently holding that first wild card spot in the National League playoff race, but 6 games ahead of the team that's in 7th place. Not a whole lot of comfort there.
Yeah, that's a lot of nervous wiggle room. And meanwhile, can we just talk about the NL West? Because that division is just shaping up with quite the 2-horse race between the Padres and Dodgers. And, yeah, the Dodgers may have the lead right now, and think they may have what looks like to be a bit of a gap to San Diego, but still, that's just crazy that the Padres have just come out of nowhere and are making it a bit difficult for the defending World Series champions.
Absolutely. It's that wonderful time of year. Nobody's messing around anymore. Everybody is trying to jockey, get into playoff position. Padres, it's Tyler mentioned, giving the Dodgers a very, very hard time. And, I mean, that's a rivalry. All right, San Diego, Los Angeles, the two cities not too far from each other on the California coastline. But it's that time of year, Everybody's jockeying for playoff position. Everybody's trying to get as many wins as possible. There's always that wild card race. I mean, some of the divisions, even though they haven't been locked up, you just know they're already decided. And right now, the teams that are fighting for their playoff lives, going all in pretty much, especially with what they did at the trade deadline.
Sometimes, right now is when teams go balls on the walls, no holds barred. It's go time.
Yep.
And even the AL West, Houston's lead is getting nervous with Seattle coming, although Seattle did lose a couple games to the Phillies. But even still, Houston did not exactly do well at all against the Tigers. One of their guys, Taylor Trammell, no relation to Allen, had an amazing catch on Tuesday and Wednesday. Both times were at the cost of some bad injuries. He might be out for a bit with the result of the latter one on Wednesday night. And Wednesday afternoon, when Mom and I saw that on television, it just looked bad, and he had to get carted off. Wow.
Oh, man. Tough time to have these kind of injuries, and whenever they do happen, it's difficult. No matter who you root for, it's tough to watch somebody go down. Somebody who's put all that work in throughout the entire season, and especially a guy on a team that's fighting to make the playoffs. Brutal.
Yeah, not fun at all. I will say this, though. The atmosphere was awesome against the Astros. I can't wait to see what the atmosphere is like against the Royals. Jake and I, like I said, we will be at that game on Sunday afternoon. It's going to be fun.
I'm looking forward to watching some more baseball to close out the summer with my man Tyler Lavalette. And, okay, speaking of baseball experiences, I know this is maybe just a little bit off topic, but this is something me and my man Tyler, we wanted to talk to you about this. Today's kind of a very special anniversary. It's the 1-year anniversary of me and Tyler's greatest adventure outside of Detroit. Actually, greatest adventure for the both of us, really, when you think about it. On this day 1 year ago, we went to Wrigley Field for the first time. Tyler, would you like to do the honors?
Absolutely. So last August, when the Tigers had the opportunity to play both Chicago State teams in a 7-game swing, Jake and I, when we saw the schedule get announced in 2023, a lot of pieces were put in place to let this happen. Jake and I, Mom, Mark, Jake and I all went down to Chicago on the 21st for Mom's birthday, first to the west side of the state to celebrate her birthday. That had its own interesting twists and turns trying to find a restaurant, I'll say that much. But the game we went to against the Cubs, it was not pretty from a Tigers perspective, but regardless, it was still fun going to that to historic Wrigley Field. I like what the Ricketts did to the stadium. And we also went to a bar afterward to get drinks, and that's something you just really weren't able to do when we were at the Sox Stadium. Because that is surrounded entirely by parking lots, and you're right up next to the Dan Ryan Expressway.
First of all, I just want to, before I get into what I'm going to talk about, happy belated birthday, Rhonda. Hope you're doing well. And I just, now to shift, or to talk about kind of what I witnessed at Wrigley Field, it was perfect. The word I have no better words to describe than just everything that day. It felt golden, and it felt perfect. And no, not just because the Cubs won. I was stoked the Cubs won. I wish it would have been a little more of a competitive game for Tyler's team, but I was happy to see the Cubs win at Wrigley Field and just seeing every little piece of it, from the marquee sign to the old school scoring board to all the buildings surrounding Wrigley Field that have seats on them, and even the tunnels leading to the seats. You could smell, taste, and feel the history there. It was amazing. I'm lost. I was lost for words. What a historic marvel Wrigley Field was. And of course, Tyler mentioned we went and got drinks. The vibe in Wrigley Field, I mean, second to none. The vibe in Wrigleyville, not to confuse it with Wrigley Field. I'm stumbling.
Right. I mean, I don't blame you.
I mean, regardless, that town is always hopping. I mean, baseball season or not, Cubs fans, they're always hopping. And whether the team is good or bad, the vibes are always good in Wrigleyville. It just, wow. I'm at a loss for it. It was a beautiful day.
Yeah, there's this old song that was famous on the radio. The Cubs play on the radio and for teams like the Cubs and the Dodgers from 1960 called "It's a Beautiful Day for a Ball Game." It got played prior to the Tigers-Cubs game because it was a beautiful day. Perfect weather, no threat of rain, maybe some cloud cover if I remember correctly, or maybe not, but it was perfect. Not for the Tigers on the field, per se, but still, the weather was nice, and it was the first part of what was ultimately a great time had by everyone.
It was, honestly, Tyler, it was a pleasure sharing that experience with you and your folks. It was one of those experiences that I will never, ever forget, and one of those experiences, and you know what? I've been thinking a lot about it today. Every little thing, from like the walk to Wrigley to, the walk through the concourses, the walk up to the seats, and all the photos that we took, everything that we saw, from like the Grand Slam, of course, to every little piece of it was special. Mm-hmm. Just when I say this was me and Tyler's greatest adventure, it was genuinely the greatest adventure, because every little thing about it, you could not have asked for a better experience.
Now, conversely, let's not discount what we talked about, because we saw the other stadium as well. The White Sox, okay, you couldn't actually go to a bar after the game. It's surrounded by parking lots. Yeah. Bad team, not so good, cheap seats compared to Wrigley. But it was still nice. I mean, as a Tigers fan, I knew that we would happily take revenge on the White Sox. And by golly, they took all 4 games that weekend. So mission accomplished on that front. But regardless, the one thing the White Sox really had over the Cubs was their food. I still talk about this pulled pork, macaroni and cheese, or this pork-based macaroni and cheese that was near the seating area we were at, the section. It was amazing. Now that the burger I had wasn't bad either, or what Jake had, but that mac, oh, that was good.
As Tyler said, when it comes to the White Sox side of things, okay, you can make a case for the food. I mean, it wasn't bad there, maybe a little superior to the Cubs. But other than that, Wrigley Field had everything on what we now know today as Rate Field. Simply Rate Field. I mean, the atmosphere, no match for what Wrigley had in store for us. And then you got the whole vibe of the game felt like we were just, I won't say the soap opera, but it's felt like a snooze fest. And even though Tyler's team won, which I'm happy his team did, the game felt like a snooze fest. They're just, and just the whole thing around, like, other things to get fans pumped up, just nowhere near the stride that Wrigley Field had, or the standard that Wrigley Field had.
And can I just say that, you could walk. You couldn't exactly walk around Wrigley because the outfield is bleachers, reserved for the bleachers only.
Yeah,
you could do that at guaranteed rate now, right? But what exactly did you see in the skylines? not exactly much from the White Sox Stadium at all because it looked enclosed. There's plenty of stuff to see when you're out beyond Wrigley Field's outfield. Beyond just the scoreboard when you think about it more. Look at the rooftop, for example. You can't say that about the White Sox Stadium.
Yeah, 100% accurate there. 100% accurate assessment on Tyler's part. When it comes to Wrigley, it's so open, too. Like, you can see quite a bit from a distance. It's really gorgeous to look at, even if you just look at the sky. Whereas Rate Field, or as it was known as Guaranteed Rate Field when we went there, everything did kind of feel kind of closed up, and you just couldn't see a whole lot else from your seats besides the game. So, honestly, in conclusion, like, we had a great weekend there. We even got to try a Chicago deep dish pizza, which amazing stuff. That's one of the things I'll never forget. But the best part was Wrigley Field, absolutely legendarily superior to Rate Field.
And also, we walked around Navy Pier, did a little walking on the Mag Mile, and took you to the Chicago Sports Museum and Harry Carey 7th-inning stretch.
Well, I got a picture next to a gold statue of Harry Carey, so that was really cool, and that was a really nice surprise too. It's nice work on your guys' part, and everything about that trip was just beautiful. Yes. Okay, so I had parts that I liked more than others, but, that's just... And we even got to rock around downtown Chicago. That was perfect. Like, I found myself looking straight up at the John Hancock Center. I was that distracted that day. That's just an absolute... It was so wonderful to be back in Chicago after not being downtown for so many years. So, Tyler, thank you and your folks for that once more.
You are so very welcome. It was fun going to that. I cannot wait to see what we do next down the road. That was fun. It was exciting. And we have these memories we are going to be remembering for the rest of our lives. And you know what? I wouldn't want it any other way.
You too, man. Appreciate doing this with you. And to close it off, you know what? I look forward once more to I look forward to doing more things like that in the future. Hopefully we return to Chicago, maybe to see the Blackhawks and the Red Wings. Maybe. But in conclusion, admittedly, that is a weekend in 2024 that my mind will get lost in from time to time, for all the right reasons. I can promise you that. All right, shifting gears, we've got football coming up. So we're going to start with the NFL first. So we got the NFC North. You got your Lions. You got your Bears. You got your Packers. And you got your Vikings. Oh, my. It's a tough division. What else is new? But
I wouldn't want it any other way.
Yeah, for lack of, me trying to be too humorous at times. It's gonna be a drag race, though. If you think about it. None of these teams are the same. I mean, the Lions are clearly the favorite to win the division. And then you got the Packers, of course. And, the real mystery could be, the Vikings and the Bears. Who's going to finish third between them? Or it could be, it's the Detroit Lions versus everybody else in this division. Pretty much these are my opening thoughts on this subject.
I feel, I'm not sure what to really make of what happened. The rest of the division outside of obviously the Lions support, because I'm still going to want the Lions to win a third straight NFC North crown, don't get me wrong. I don't want to take any stock of what I saw from the Bills preseason game I watched on Sunday night, because that was a shutout win by the Bears, and come on, it's preseason. But still, I can't wait to see what Ben Johnson does for the 15 other games that he plays when not playing us. Because I don't want to see him do good against Detroit.
That much I can understand. But you know what? Based on what I saw from there, so I'm not trying to get too excited about preseason because it's just preseason. But you know what? If what I've seen in preseason from the Bears is any indication of what's going to happen in the regular season, then I'm stoked about having Ben Johnson as the head coach of the Chicago Bears. I hope this is the way the Bears offense operates all season long. Even if we don't like win enough games to make the postseason, let's make things fun. If Ben Johnson could he's trying not to give away too much of what that offense is going to be like come the regular season. But if the preseason was of any indication what the regular season is going to be like, that Bears offense is going to take a whole lot of leaps. The Bears, they worked hard on improving the offensive line. The one concern I do have, of course, is, Caleb Williams taking that next leap. We'll see. He's got very few excuses now. And then you've also got the running back room for the Chicago Bears. They didn't really change a whole lot. And I know we got DeAndre Swift, but I do have some concerns about what that running back room is going to be like come the regular season.
And, of course, I got my concerns about our players on defense. We had one guy go down badly against Atlanta in the fourth quarter of that game to the point where they just suspended the game outright. Lions win, but again, preseason. But even still, I just hope we don't have too many injuries like we had this past season. I just hope Aiden Hutchinson's going to have a good, productive season as well again. I just hope we can just do good, Maybe finally win it all. We'll see.
If you're a Detroit Lions fan, your biggest concern is, can this team stay healthy? Can they keep all the pieces in place? I'm looking forward to seeing how Aiden Hutchinson bounces back from his injury. I have no doubt that once he gets a couple games under him, he'll be ready to fly again. But it's just, rallying from that injury, and hopefully not having another injury or having a defense full of injuries. That's the big thing for Detroit. And another thing to keep in mind for the Detroit Lions, of course, is they've got all new coordinators now. Of course, Dan Campbell, or Dan Gamble, as some of us like to call him, he's still there, okay? He's a fantastic head coach. It'll be interesting to see how the Lions do with a new offensive coordinator and a new defensive coordinator. Anytime you have a change in any of those positions, you're going to feel some of those differences. I still think this Detroit Lions, though, despite the change in coordinators and maybe concerns about defensive health, I still think they're the favorite to win the NFC North. And, okay, spoiler alert, you want a prediction from me? I think the Lions do win the NFC North this season.
Why, thank you.
That's just what I think is going to happen, at least. I'm not going to go too much farther, beyond, postseason predictions, but for regular season, I do think that the Detroit Lions will win the NFC North.
Yeah, like I said, that's my expectation. Hometown favoritism and all that fun stuff. But yeah, I just don't see much changing, aside from Dan Campbell having another Applebee's ad.
No, I saw that ad too. Goodness, here he goes again.
But all joking aside on that front, I don't see much changing. I sure the new player guys we have as offensive defensive coordinators are going to do well, and I'm sure everything is still going to click fine in Motown.
Yeah. Aside from the coordinators, the team is pretty much the same as it was before. So there's little reason to believe that this Lions team could win the NFC North again and hopefully go further. In terms of the other teams, the Bears, we'll see about the wins and losses, but if they can improve and be actually really fun to watch, I actually would be pretty happy. And then there's, of course, before I forget, there's the Packers and the
Vikings.
Vikings. We talked about the line. So the Vikings, to me, are kind of an interesting case. They got the same team from last year, except quarterback. Sam Darnold's gone now. And now J.J. McCarthy is going to be the starting quarterback, another Michigan man, this time at quarterback for the Vikings. That's going to be a huge change. We'll see if this Vikings team can replicate what they did last year, or at least make the postseason. It's not going to be easy, considering how tough this NFC North is. And with the Green Bay Packers, same team, very well experienced, but with an improving division, could be tough for that Green Bay team. And then there's the question about how good Jordan Love. There's still that question about how good Jordan Love can become. He's a good quarterback. Don't get me wrong, but how much better can he become? That's the Green Bay's chances of success this season or getting to the playoffs could very well hinge on steps that Jordan Love takes or doesn't take.
Absolutely. We got to really see how these other two teams do going forward into this upcoming season.
Yep. And to close off this subject, so like I said, Vikings, I mean, largely the same team. We'll see if how their new quarterback does for them. And of course, and then with the Green Bay Packers, they still got that great defense. So they'll be tough to beat. It's just a matter of how many more strides will Jordan Love take and how much more can he improve for the Green Bay Packers. Good quarterback, but there's people out there like myself that are wondering just how good he really can be.
Absolutely.
That's where
only time will tell.
Yep. Well, that's where we're going to leave this subject. We're staying on football, but now we're shifting to the Big Ten. We're going to the college realm now. So it's almost that time. So I think there's a game in Ireland this weekend. It's not Big Ten, but the next weekend we'll have football action. So I'll start with my Purdue Boilermakers. All right, last year, so ugly. Ugh. So ugly. Ugh. 1-11.
Ugh.
And Ryan Walters, two seasons was all he got at Purdue. Yep, that just tends to happen, unfortunately, when your team takes that huge of a step back. So now, Barry Odom is in as the new head coach of the Purdue Boilermakers. It'll be interesting to see what his defenses will look like, and can he implement a more competent offense than what we had last season. Those are things I'll be looking out for when it comes to Purdue football. And can Purdue win more than a single game this year?
Ouch.
I think they can, but we'll find out.
Okay. I think I know how many they'll win. 2.
Well, it's better. Well, that would be better than last year. And there are 2 games on there that you could say are winnable at least. And those are their first 2 non-conference games. I believe one is one's against Ball State, and then I think Southern Illinois is the second one. And if there is some good news for Purdue, we already know the starting quarterback, Ryan Brown, who played a few games last year for Purdue, transferred to North Carolina, and then came right back to Purdue, starting quarterback for Purdue. Talk about a journey there.
Didn't even play a dingle down in North Carolina. Ouch.
What you thinking about Michigan this year, Mr. Lavalette?
They're going to do fine. However, they still got the College Stallions fallout. Couple of penalties, nothing bad on the no postseason bans, no revenue from postseason play. Sharon Moore's going to be suspended a few games for this season and maybe some next season too. Some sort of prohibition thing on if Harbaugh were to come back for 10. Come back, highly unlikely. But really, nothing bad that could have been troublesome. Now, as far as the team goes, we'll see. They got New Mexico State coming up pretty soon, but they have to go to Oklahoma to face the Sooners to start things off. But beyond that, we'll see. Of course, you've got to worry about Ohio State as well when you host them at the end of the season.
Yes, indeed. So, in response to something Tyler said, the penalties, the NCAA handed out penalties for Michigan, and it feels more like a slap on the wrist.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what it felt like. Not saying all of it wasn't not right, but when you look at it, it feels more like a slap on the wrist that Michigan's going to easily overcome. The one thing I'm curious about with your Michigan Wolverines, Tyler, is Sharon Moore. Does he have what it takes to lead this team long term, or is Michigan already kind of thinking ahead? Even if they have a winning record and make a bowl game, which I think they'll do better this season, but it's just kind of hard to tell whether or not Sharon Moore is going to be the long term coach for Michigan, or if Michigan's already kind of looking ahead and thinking about a different coach.
Yep. Yeah, that's a big thing. At least Harbaugh went out on top, winning a national championship.
Yes, indeed. And I think part of the reason he got out was due to the penalty. He knew the penalties were coming. So he's like, all right, let's get out of here. And then, of course, you have Ohio State. They won the national championship last year. They're looking to become the first team in this new college football playoff format to go back-to-back. Michigan looking to become the first team to go back-to-back and upsetting Ohio State, and with Ohio State going on to win a national championship. I don't know what the chances are of that happening. It'd be crazy. Michigan has proven to be Ohio State's bugaboo these last few seasons. So
yep.
Ohio State, I think the field's going to be tougher this year for Ohio State, so can't play around too much. Don't mess around too much, especially against Michigan. But they've got the pieces in place to win another national championship. One guy I'm going to be keeping a big eye on for Ohio State is Max Clare, the tight end, who, okay, call me biased. He's from Purdue. He played for Purdue a couple seasons and transferred after the disastrous season last year and went to Ohio.
I don't blame him.
Yeah, I don't blame him either. You know, go play for a team that can contend for a championship. Mm-hmm. So in that case, he made a good choice going to Ohio State, and I have no doubt he'll play starter minutes there at Ohio State. Other Big Ten teams I'll be keeping an eye on. Indiana, of course, they had a big season last year, went 11-1, made the postseason, lost to Notre Dame. Can they replicate what they did last year? I don't think it'll be as easy. And then other teams like Michigan State, they won a couple games last year. Could they be on a good trajectory? Could they go 6-6 this year? That's something I'll be keeping an eye on. Other teams, does Minnesota maybe take strides forward? How does Iowa do? I mean, and what about those teams out west? Oregon, do they go to the Big Ten title game for the second year in a row? Penn State, what do they have in store? And what other teams could step up this year, like maybe a UCLA? These are questions that are running very heavily in my mind as we get ready for another season of college football and, of course, Big Ten football.
Yep, so many questions will be answered by the time we get to early December and have the championship game and then the selection for the college football bowls and playoffs.
Yep. Right now, in case you're wondering, I don't really have any predictions on who's going to make it. It's just too hard for me to say right now. I'm kind of in the position where I think I need to watch first.
Yeah, we need to really get a good grip on how the season's playing out before we talk the big one.
Yeah. I'm just like, geez, you guys good. Great. I'm talking about myself here, but me and Tyler, we'll get things figured out. We're just, you know what? With this, it's a new era in college football with the NLI and the transfer portal.
Yep.
It is what it is.
Mm-hmm. All new stuff.
Hard to make predictions based off of that. But me and Tyler, we're going to give it our best.
We'll try.
Yes, we will. All right. Hope you guys, sports fans, I hope you've enjoyed the talk. It's now time for this week's golden moment in sports. Me and Tyler, we were talking about our experiences at Wrigley Field. Mm-hmm. And you know what? Wrigley Field, a lot of great memories are made there. Great place to watch a baseball game. Great place to watch a 7-inning stretch. Great place to have a great time. But sometimes you have to expect the unexpected. How about this? Every now and then there's a flyover at Wrigley Field. But last weekend, the Cubs fans got the surprise of their life. They got a surprise or a 7th-inning stretch they will never, ever forget. Can we roll clip, please? Check this out, sport. Wrigley Field, you just got thunderstruck. That's right. So there it is. It's the Thunderbird. I'm not sure if that's number 5 or 6, but one of the 6 Thunderbirds did a low pass over Wrigley Field. Low and loud. Right over in. And what you're seeing here, sports fans, is everybody's reaction. And keep in mind, fighter jets, they are freaking loud. Believe me, and I've gone to air shows. Those things are loud. Take it away, Tyler.
That they are. They don't mess around for a reason. That's why you wear ear protection when you go to those air shows.
Well, in the case of these sports fans, we can give them a pass.
Yeah, I'll come some slack.
Right.
You really don't expect a flyover at a baseball game unless it's a team's home opener or other special marquee events,
And you especially do not expect it during the 7th-inning stretch.
Heck, the singer that day apparently had to stop. Must have had stopped for some reason because of it being so loud.
I could tell you who that was too. By the way, that is actor Hayden Christensen, who was the actor who played Anakin Skywalker in Episode 2 and Episode 3 of the prequel trilogies for Star Wars. He and his daughter had to regain themselves after that low pass.
Wow.
But I'm actually jealous of those fans at Wrigley Field. They get to go to a baseball game and they get a free air show. Come on, I want that. I want to get buzzed, even if it rings my eardrums. But yeah, Wrigley Field that day they had a 7th inning stretch they will never forget. They got thunderstruck by one of 6 U.S. Air Force Thunderbirds. And one more thing before we end this episode. In terms of air show definitions, a maneuver like that, a low pass like that over Wrigley Field, you don't see that every day. That is defined as a sneak pass. And yes, a sneak pass is something that both the Blue Angels and the Thunderbirds do when they want to catch the audience by surprise. And you know what? They don't tell you when it's going to happen. You have to know for yourself when it's coming. You got to look that stuff up. Like it's in the manuals for like both air show or both the Thunderbirds and the Blue Angels, but they don't tell you when during the show it's going to happen. You just have to know for sure when it happened. And by the way, in case you're wondering why the Thunderbirds were there, it was because around that same weekend was the Chicago Air and Water Show, in which the Air Force Thunderbirds were highlighting. Good stuff.
That's pretty awesome. I can't really say much because it just is.
Yeah, best flyover ever.
Yep.
Greatest flyover ever. All right, sports fans, without further ado, that is all we got for this week's Wax On Wednesday. Special thanks to my man, Tom Lavalette, Josh, and everybody who worked so hard here at the Waterford Studios to make this all possible. Greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much for everything. And sports fans, if you like what you saw today, be sure to follow us on Two Guys Talk Sports and other things on YouTube and Two Guys Talk Sports on Facebook for more videos just like this. And without further ado, we are going to sign off for this week. This is Jake Waxman.
And Tyler Lavalette.
Wishing you all a good weekend. Take care, everyone. Thunderstruck.